Welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to another very exciting episode of Marvel's Avengers 101. So as you might have seen recently, the Hero Weeks on the Marvel's Avengers Twitter page is continuing with showcasing some brand new footage and revealing some interesting info about each individual hero. And with all the other characters out of the way, with that of the super patriotic Captain America, along with the Incredible Hulk, the Invincible Iron Man, as well as the super stealthy Black Widow, we're now moving on to the final character that we have seen in action so far, with a very interesting week with that of the one and only God of Thunder himself, of Thor. And lucky enough for us, instead of having to wait until the very end of the Hero Week to receive some gameplay of the character in action like what we got with Black Widow, we actually ended up receiving Thor's gameplay as well as a cool look at his Viking outfit front and center. However, similar to the gameplay reveal that we did end up receiving for Black Widow, we do actually see a very much more polished version of Thor's gameplay within his profile trailer. And once again, this is completely different footage than what we ended up receiving for Thor during the Gamescom convention, along with them taking out the green energy effects to make the gameplay look much more cinematic. But of course, the main visual difference that we do see within Thor's gameplay that stands out the most is the obvious redesign of his hair, making him look much more godlike compared to what we saw previously. Given that we now finally have each individual character's gameplay profile trailers from the main roster of the Avengers within the A-Day sequence, besides that of Ant-Man and Ms. Marvel, I can safely say for sure that the best ones out of the 5 that we have seen so far is definitely related to Black Widow and Thor himself. And honestly, it makes me a bit more confused and a bit more understanding at the same time as to why the game's marketing is acting as weird as it is. We already know that the Avengers project will be showcasing some new footage of the game in action during New York Comic-Con, which is only less than a week away, but they still had to reveal some news about the game during these Hero Weeks. But what I find the most interesting is that the Captain America, Hulk, and Iron Man gameplay trailers were the exact same footage that we did receive at Gamescom, while the Black Widow and Thor trailers were completely new and different. The previous gameplay trailers were receiving a lot of backlash from fans claiming that the frame rates were dropping like crazy during the normal footage, as well as the green energy effects making the game look a bit more cartoony. But now with these new trailers, it looks like all those concerns have been totally done away with. And the only reason I can fathom as to why this is the case is because they were still trying to polish up the other gameplay trailers for the other heroes. And seeing the major amounts of improvements that we did receive within Black Widow and Thor's gameplay, it makes me that much more curious to see what the final product is going to be for all the other heroes once the game does fully release on May 15th, 2020. And alongside of us receiving the final character profile trailer for the base Avengers team, we also have a bit more combat information relating to how Thor is going to operate once we do fully play the game. Now, if you missed it previously, I did do a recent video discussing Vince Napoli's gameplay standpoint as to how the combat is going to operate within the Avengers project. And weirdly enough, even though we did receive a lot of awesome information for how all the other heroes are going to work within the game, Thor still remained a bit of a mystery. But considering how Vince Napoli is the same individual who led the same gameplay design for God of War's combat, it makes me that much more excited to see how Thor is going to work once we do fully upgrade him within the game. And as the Marvel's Avengers Twitter page begins to describe, Thor exudes the force and chaos of lightning in combat, easily dispatching hordes of enemies. When it comes to pure destructive power, nobody on the battlefield is more equipped than the God of Thunder, says Vince Napoli, lead combat designer at Crystal Dynamics. Wielding Mjolnir, Thor is able to seamlessly transition between ground and air combat at will, launching enemies into the sky and effortlessly chaining together attacks. Mjolnir also grants Thor the most powerful ranged attack in the game, as it's able to pin down almost any foe, locking them in place for crowd manipulation or further combos. Thor is also able to access the Odin Force at will. Odin Force allows Thor to stop attacking enemies in their tracks, channel destructive lightning into any of his attacks, and create a powerful barrier of lightning that shields him from danger. Careful and measured use of the Odin Force is crucial for difficult fights, but knowing when to push the pedal to the floor can be just as important. As formidable as Thor is with Mjolnir, it is ultimately the combined use of his hammer and lightning that make Thor godly in any combat setting. Hashtag embrace your powers, hashtag reassemble. So again, knowing that the same combat designer who made Kratos' Leviathan axe feels so great definitely makes me feel a lot more confident into how Thor's gameplay is going to feel within the final product of the Avengers project. I also really appreciate the fact that it seems like they're trying to fully utilize the lightning elements of Thor's powers within all of his combat scenarios. And once again, knowing that we've only seen a fraction as to how Thor's combat is actually going to work within the game during the A-Day gameplay, it makes me that much more excited to see him fully upgraded once we do start playing the game. But until we end up receiving more information or footage of Thor in action, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. below. What did you think about all this footage and information relating to Thor within Marvel's Avengers, and out of all the characters that we have seen gameplay of so far, which one is your personal favorite? Like I said previously, I'm very much enjoying what we are receiving for Thor within the game, and I'm really excited to actually play as him once we do actually get our hands on Marvel's Avengers once it's fully out. Although, after seeing how these heroes are going to fight within the game, it makes me that much more curious to see how Ant-Man, Miss Marvel, and the other roster of heroes that are going to be added down the line are going to work as well. So fingers crossed that we end up receiving a brand new hero to dive into during the New York Comic-Con panel for Marvel Games. And until that time comes, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, stay merry Marvelites, and peace out.